We're going to get started with our program tonight because we have a lot to cover in a little bit of time, but keep eating. Enjoy your dinner. My name is Carl Whitehill. I'm Vice President of Destination Gettysburg, and we're going to start tonight's program with a little look back at 2025 and highlight for you the successes and challenges that made the year both exciting and, well, a little stressful, to be honest with you. Let's start with the stressful. Let's get that out of the way. Everyone remember the government shutdown? 43 days government shutdown. Set a record. While Gettysburg National Military Park was largely unaffected, we as a tourism community go on the offense and sometimes the defense to ensure travelers that indeed Gettysburg remains open. Regardless of its direct impact to Gettysburg, shutdowns of the federal government have effect on us all. And then there's AI. While AI has presented us with a wide range of opportunity to make our work more efficient, it has also introduced a new phrase in 2025, zero-click searches. In other words, fewer users need to visit our website to find our content. It's delivered right in their search results. This has put organizations like Destination Gettysburg in a position to reinvent its website, as it needs to serve not just humans, but bots that are interpreting, ranking, and deciding what content is relevant. You can mark that down for a sentence I never thought I'd say. Here we are, 2026, right? Destination Gettysburg has pivoted and has again began to regrow its web traffic, but it's a continuing challenge that we all face. Thanks to Rick and Mo on our team for guiding this organization through all that. It's been a challenge, nonetheless, for the last few years. We're on the right track thanks to their expertise. Now, that's enough of the challenges. Let's look at the successes. 2025 was a great year for us, and it was a year of firsts. Throughout the year, we tested new tactics, campaigns, promotions, and products, all with the intent of generating visitation throughout the year, especially during slower times. I want to thank the partners and the board of directors for trusting us with a lot of these firsts, as they're really things that we as a team get excited about, and we are appreciative of the faith that our board and partnership have in us for doing this. Starting out, this seems like eons ago now because we're already in its second year, but in 2025 we launched a destination-wide promotion to inspire overnight visitation in January and February, our two slowest months for overnight stays. In all, 16 lodging properties participated in a broad campaign to offer a 20% discount during the months of January and February, and dozens of room nights were generated. That program just ended its second year in 2026, just a month ago, offering an even stronger discount at 20 lodging locations. So the program is growing. In 2025, we also launched 2 temporary trails. We learned from a lot of our friends at other destinations that long-standing trails aren't working as effectively as short-term trails. So our first temporary trail was the Adams County Sweet Stroll, a collection of partnering businesses to enjoy ice cream, candy, chocolate, pastries, coffee. In just 60 days, from July 1 to September 1, the digital passport generated 912 check-ins at local businesses. Yeah, who doesn't like ice cream and chocolate, right? Later in the year, to incentivize travel during the holiday season, Destination Gettysburg launched Gettysburg Merry Markets, a trail of 27 of our local retail businesses throughout Adams County. Many of you are in the room here tonight. In 6 weeks over the holiday season, the trail received over 600 check-ins, each one of those representing a purchase at one of our local stores. These trails are both expected to make a comeback in 2026, along with some more exciting news about our trails coming up later tonight, you'll hear. Also, in 2025, this was quite a project. Destination Gettysburg launched its first ever resident sentiment survey to gauge local opinions on the impact of the tourism industry and the work that we do as an organization. Overwhelmingly, despite a few critical comments about parking and traffic, our residents see the great value in tourism, our marketing, and the opportunity that the industry brings our community. We do have intention of redoing that survey in 2027. And there we go. And our final first are two new relationships that Destination Gettysburg has forged with two fantastic photographers. While other much larger destinations are working with local social media influencers, Destination Gettysburg sought to instead create partnerships with people that we think have influence. And for us, that meant building relationships with Dave Johnson and Jim Fredlin. These two gentlemen are everywhere in Gettysburg, and we couldn't be more thankful. Due to a last-minute schedule change, Jim Fredlin couldn't be with us tonight, but Jim, despite driving over an hour and 20 minutes away, is on our battlefield more than most of us. Jim often wakes up very early in the morning and captures our hallowed ground in amazing ways. Here are a few of his photos. And then there's Dave Johnson. We thought we got something, a hidden gem here, and we do. We met Dave pretty early in his constant trips to Gettysburg, and since then I think most of us has met Dave because he's everywhere. I just learned tonight that he's almost about 2 hours away if there's traffic, and he comes up here constantly. But when we first met him, he was just getting his feet wet with photographing Gettysburg, and is now known to most of you in the room. Dave has not only captured photographs of our beautiful battlefield, but attends events almost every weekend after driving nearly 2 hours to get here. Here's a few of his shots. Dave, will you please stand? Jim and Dave are literally an extension of our team. We can't be everywhere. We'd love to be everywhere every day, every weekend, but these guys are out there, they're capturing stuff, we're working with them, and we're using their photos and putting them to work. So I'm very excited to build our relationship and grow that. Speaking of partnerships, we welcome 27 new partners in 2025. We have a few in the room with us tonight. Thank you for your investment in our work, and welcome to this amazing tourism community in Adams County. All right, I'm gonna do a little Steve Kornacki on you guys with some numbers here, if you know who that is. All right, ready for the charts. All right, in 2025, our average occupancy measured 56.1%, which was identical to what we saw in 2024, to the T. Contrary to 2024, however, June was our busiest month for hotel occupancy. October, in the past several years, has risen to the top for occupancy and continues to be one of the top 3 months for overnight visitation. We all know how popular fall is in Gettysburg. Looking at the average daily rate, October has, however, surpassed all other months at $160.56 per night, edging out our busy summer months by about $15 per night. The average for the year, a new record at $136.03. Thank you. So, where are our visitors coming from? A few surprises here. The majority of our visitors are coming from Pennsylvania, along with what has traditionally been our top 5 states, Maryland, Virginia, New York, New Jersey, and sometimes Ohio. But as you can see, after Pennsylvania, it's not even close. Looking at the cities of origin, Philadelphia edged out Washington, D.C. and New York City. With the exception of Boston, all of these cities are within Destination Gettysburg targeted 300-mile radius for our marketing. Looking at our new-ish state economic numbers, these are 2024 numbers that we just got a couple months ago. Wanted to share those with you tonight. A report issued in late 2025 revealed that visitor spending in Adams County for 2024 measured $809.2 million. Setting a new record. Looking at the graph, it's clear to see that Adams County has made a successful recovery coming out of the COVID pandemic. I hate that I still say COVID pandemic 5 years later, but it's relevant. This graph shows you how that $809 million was spent in Adams County, with recreation and transportation leading the way. In 2025, our visitors spent $82.2 million in federal, state, and local taxes, also a steady increase since 2020. The size of the tourism workforce in Adams County, however, has not returned to pre-COVID levels despite sizable increases since 2020. Despite a steady increase, we remain almost 300 employees shy of 2019's level of nearly 5,400. In 2025, Destination Gettysburg was making impressions around the world through its print and digital advertising, social media marketing, and media relations. Gettysburg and Adams County were featured in a variety of media outlets, many of which were listed Gettysburg as a top destination, including previews of America 250 coverage. Our sales department, under the leadership of Sandy Stewart, was building relationships in the group travel and meetings market, attending more than a dozen marketplaces, as well as hosting our own. In September, Gettysburg brought the Maryland Motor Coach Association to town, showcasing a variety of lodging, dining, shopping attractions to 300 group travel leaders. In 2025, Gettysburg committed $75,000 to organizations throughout Adams County as part of our commitment to community. Every year, we proudly support dozens of nonprofit organizations as part of our mission to benefit and enhance our community. Our team of visitor services representatives were busier than ever in 2025 with more than 4,000 visitor interactions with 716 distinct zip codes around the nation, as well as the 20 countries you see there on the slide. This work is in addition to representing Adams County at dozens of community and outreach events to promote the region to visitors and locals alike. So that brings us to America 250. Last year, at this very event, we welcomed Cassandra Coleman, Executive Director of America 250 PA, who stood before us and rallied our community to build energy for the nation's big birthday in 2026. And obviously, 2026 is now here, and we're well on our way to celebrating this milestone anniversary in Adams County. Destination Gettysburg proudly serves among 6 other organizations on the Adams County Steering Committee for America 250 PA. We've all been busy, not just in 2025, but over the last 4 years to bring this celebration to our community. We kicked off our year-long commemoration in January and are poised to host 250 events as part of America's semi-quincentennial. Each event is a unique celebration of our local history and our nation's history. Here are the few of our more large-scale events, starting with next week's Gettysburg Film Festival, taking us through the battle anniversary and the 4th of July. If you haven't seen yet, there's big stuff happening on 4th of July, right, Al? Where's Al? There you are. Big stuff happening. It's going to be a really big event. And all the way to the recreation of Lincoln's visit to Gettysburg in November. And I think we all read about that in the media a couple weeks ago, that really the epic event being brought to us by the Lincoln Fellowship of Pennsylvania. But what I don't want to get lost here is all the other organizations that have stepped up with a lot of events. And I run the risk of missing somebody, but the World War II experience coming forward with many events over the years. Seminary Ridge Museum, Gettysburg History, the Foundation, Daniel Lady Farm, Gettysburg College, and believe it or not, the Adams County Library. The library submitted probably about 20 events for the first 3 or 4 months of the year, and that was completely unexpected, and they all were created just for this anniversary. So thank you for that. Yeah. And I don't want to miss the fact that it's also going to be the semi-quincentennial anniversary of the Dobbin House. That building is 250 years old, and Jackie's got a lot planned. We were just talking about it tonight. So that is an important anniversary for us in August, and we look forward to celebrating along with you, Jackie, Rick, and the rest of the Dobbin House team. So there are many more events. More than 150 currently posted on our website. Please check them out. That's a plug for the website. Go there. There's so much there to see and do, and what we really want as a steering commission is to really activate the community to go out and enjoy these events, volunteer your time, plan an event, and just really be active. The year is just getting started. There's so much ahead of us. So that's a good segue into what's in store for the remainder of the year in 2026 and beyond. So Carl Peterzak, President and CEO of Destination Gettysburg.
Okay, thank you, Carl. I'll advance my own slide. Great to see everybody here tonight. Wonderful to turn out, great venue. So very nice recap of all the successes of the last year. Very busy year, and this year we're looking forward to even a busier year with America 250 and all the special events that are coming. So make sure I'm on the right slide. Starting last fall and continuing into the first few months of 2026, our friends Bo Brinkman and Chris Webb with the Gettysburg Film Commission embarked on filming their second movie set in Gettysburg, Gettysburg 1863. Written and directed by Bo Brinkman, Gettysburg 1863 is an intimate Civil War drama that brings the Battle of Gettysburg and its aftermath to life through the experiences of civilians caught in the crossfire. The production centered in and around the historic Shriver House. It spurred a positive economic impact for January and February, the two slowest months of the year. And plans call for the movie to be released in November, and a teaser of the movie and the official website will be released in about 2 weeks at the Gettysburg Film Festival. So keep your eyes posted for that. Earlier this month, Destination Gettysburg partnered with the Gettysburg Chamber of Commerce and 21 local restaurants to recreate Gettysburg Restaurant Week. This is the first time that we've had Gettysburg Restaurant Week in 13 years, and we're very excited by the results. Those 21 restaurants created special menus for the event. They welcome visitors and residents to discover, and in many cases rediscover, some favorite dining experiences. We look forward to partnering with the Chamber and area restaurants again in either later this year or in 2027 to bring Gettysburg Restaurant Week back. In 2019, Destination Gettysburg launched the Adams County Pour Tour to highlight the large variety of craft beverages being made in Adams County and to capitalize on the popularity of craft beverages with younger travelers. In 2021, we launched the Adams County Crop Hop, featuring farm markets, agricultural experiences, which was promoted to families visiting Adams County. Both trails were very successful and achieved the goals that we had set of attracting new and younger audiences to Gettysburg. And to keep these trails fresh and continue to provide engaging experiences, this year Destination Gettysburg is merging the trails to form the new Adams County Field to Festival Trail. This new trail will highlight the rich agricultural heritage in Adams County and will feature festivals that celebrate our homegrown produce and craft beverages. The Adams County Historical Society, now known as Gettysburg History, is well underway with the project to create a new immersive multimedia museum in Gettysburg focusing on Black history. This engaging new historical attraction will encompass the historic home of Jack Hopkins, located on South Washington Street. The first phase of the project is underway to restore the log cabin to its 1860s condition. And if you've driven down South Washington Street, you see that it's well underway. The second phase calls for an additional museum and gallery space added behind that historic home. This project aims to preserve history and educate future generations. It will be a featured site on the Gettysburg Black History Trail and will serve as Gettysburg's official Black History Museum. Last year, Gettysburg History also acquired the Shriver House Museum, adding to the group's growing family of historical venues. Their vision is to continue and expand programming at the Shriver House. And this presents a good opportunity for us to recognize and thank the people who had the original vision for the Shriver House Museum and brought it to life. Del and Nancy Gumestead came to Gettysburg in 1984. There she is, okay. Now, unfortunately, Del couldn't be here with us tonight, but Nancy's here, so thank you, and great to see Nancy. So Del and Nancy Gumestead came to Gettysburg in 1984 to operate the old Appleford Inn, and they've been very active in the local tourism industry ever since. They built and opened the Mulligan McDuffers miniature golf course in 1989, providing family fun for thousands of visitors over the course of 29 years. The American Battlefield Trust purchased that property, and now it's preserved as part of the battlefield. But Dell and Nancy completely restored the historic 1860 Shriver home, and in 1996 opened the Shriver House Museum. This landmark museum has welcomed families and student groups ever since, telling the story of the Shriver family and the civilian experience during the Battle of Gettysburg. Dell and Nancy were also very active with the Destination Gettysburg, both serving on committees and spending time as board members, with Dell serving as the organization's board chair in 2016 and 2017. So we'd like to thank you, Nancy and Dell, for your vision, for your work, and for your dedication to Gettysburg's tourism industry. The Legends of the LPGA has selected the Links at Gettysburg to host the 2027 LPGA Legends Championship. Legends of the LPGA is the official senior tour for women's professional golf, showcasing the talents of touring professionals and eligible amateurs ages 45 and over. LPGA member Danielle Amakapani will serve as tournament host in 2027 and is also the director of golf operations at Links at Gettysburg. And Destination Gettysburg is excited to work with the team at the Links to promote this fantastic event, which is sure to draw sports fans to Adams County in 2027. In 2021, a group from the Pennsylvania agricultural industry, led by the Pennsylvania Dairymen's Association, chose Adams County as the site for a new Pennsylvania Agricultural Discovery Center. Their goal is to celebrate and grow awareness of Pennsylvania's diverse agriculture and food sectors. They believe Gettysburg is the ideal location due to the region's thriving agricultural industry and our large draw of visitors, school groups, and local residents as a tourism hub. They're in the process of purchasing land adjacent to the outlets of Gettysburg, a site that provides easy visitor access off Route 15 and is next to another popular attraction with the outlets. Fundraising is currently underway, and construction is expected to start in the next few years. So as we've seen, there's lots of exciting new attractions and venues on the horizon for Gettysburg. These new sites will complement and enhance the amenities currently enjoyed by our visitors and residents. At Destination Gettysburg, we look forward to promoting these new attractions alongside everything our destination already has to offer and to attract even more visitors. Destination Gettysburg's existing 3-year strategic plan ran through the end of 2025. We accomplished the vast majority of the goals set out in that plan, and work does continue on some of the key initiatives. As we look to the future, past the impact of the America 250 commemorations this year, Destination Gettysburg will embark on a new strategic plan to help guide tourism promotion, resident engagement, and destination management efforts into the next decade. We look forward to working hand in hand with community leaders, partners, and stakeholders to craft that vision for the future. And now, to help us recognize our partners celebrating milestone anniversaries this year, please welcome Destination Gettysburg's Vice Chair, Nicole Bucher, to the stage.
Thank you, Carl, and good evening. I'm pleased to see so many friends here tonight. And for those who may not know, I'm Nicole Bucher, the owner of Mr. Ed's Elephant Museum and Candy Emporium, and the Vice Chair of Destination Gettysburg. I'm pleased to help recognize those milestone partners who have been part of our organization for many years, who support Destination Gettysburg's work and contribute so much to our tourism economy. We proudly recognize these long-standing partners that celebrated milestone anniversaries in 2025. These partners represent many of the experiences that define Gettysburg. Thanks to businesses like these and the experiences they provide to visitors and residents alike, Destination Gettysburg can successfully promote our area as a premier travel destination. We're incredibly grateful for your commitment to this organization and its mission, and to the success of tourism here in Adams County. As I read each partner's name, please come up and receive your milestone certificate. Pictures will be taken immediately after tonight's program, so we ask all partners being recognized to please stay briefly afterwards for pictures. So for 10 years of partnership with us, the Fresh Boutique, Getaways on Display Incorporated, the Hanover Area Chamber of Commerce, and the Gettysburg Lincoln Railroad Station. For 15 years of partnership, we have the Garden Grill and Bar at the Hilton Garden Inn, the Horse Tours of Gettysburg, the lodges at Gettysburg, McDaniel's Fruit Farm Market, New Oxford Chamber of Commerce, the outlet shops at Gettysburg, Seminary Ridge Museum and Education Center, and the Steinway Avenue Business Improvement District. Celebrating 20 years with us is Hullaball Brothers Fruit Farm and Market, and the Majestic Theater. Celebrating 25 years are the City Express by Marriott, the Inn at Cemetery Hill, the Leitner Farmhouse Bed and Breakfast, and the Penn National Golf Course Community. "30 years as a partner are Hampton Inn Gettysburg. Now it gets exciting. 35 years, Budget Host, Three Crowns Motor Lodge, and Comfort Suites. "40 years of partnership, the Brafferton Inn, and the Gettystown Inn B&B at the Dobbin House. And 50 years, this is huge, the Best Western Gettysburg. Thank you. Thanks again to all our partners for your support of Destination Gettysburg's work to attract visitors to Gettysburg and Adams County to create a positive economic impact for our region, its businesses, and residents. Your work is critical to the success of local tourism here in Adams County. Thank you. And now, I'm pleased to introduce tonight's keynote speaker, Josiah Brown is a nationally recognized tourism industry thought leader, also known as the New York Sherpa. Josiah has logged over 1 million miles by car. Whoa, that's insane. Throughout 48 states in the past 22 years, working in the destination marketing and management industry. Josiah is one of the tourism industry's most sought-after speakers, offering unique insights into how the tourism industry, along with how organizations like Destination Gettysburg, builds and empowers stronger communities through the power of tourism. He is president and CEO of Famous Destination Marketing, Inc., and a past chair of the New York State Tourism Industry Association. He's spoken to travel industry associations across the country, including the Pennsylvania Restaurant and Lodging Association and Destinations International. He brings extensive experience, a passion for the tourism industry, and an uplifting message of community alignment to Destination Gettysburg's annual meeting. Welcome, Josiah.
Hey everybody, it's good to be here. Let me find my clicker. It is just me. And now what I mean by that is I was supposed to bring my family. I have over the years fallen in love with Gettysburg. I think this is my 4th or 5th trip here. So I've been here several times with my wife, and we decided this is going to be the chance to bring our kids and have a reason to travel with Dad for work. I have 2 amazing kids, and another one. I have a toddler right now. So if anybody knows a toddler, so he's right at that doorknob licking height, and he came down with the flu. He's okay, but hopefully you'll still welcome me back in May when we plan to actually make that trip as a family. So it's incredible to be here. I have a lot of stories here. One of the more poignant moments of my life was actually being here in the museum on the day after Barack Obama was elected president. And I thought that was, one of the coolest places on the planet to be on that day. To be here and to really see what story of us has been written into this destination. And that's what I've been able to do traveling the country and traveling the world, is to see the stories of humanity, the stories of us that are written into destinations like this. But you know, I'm from New York, as the slide says, and so I know what you all thought when this guy from New York took the stage. You said, you know, I bet he's from the Adirondack Mountains, right? It's the largest park in the continental United States. It's 6 million acres. We have 46 peaks over 4,000 feet. Some of them reach over 5,000 feet. You might have thought, oh, I bet he's from the Finger Lakes region, which is which is America's 3rd largest wine region. What's the best guess for how many bottles of wine are produced in New York a year? What's your best guess? Price is Right rules. Two. At least 2. How many bottles of wine do you think are produced? 4 million. Not enough. Not enough is right. 280 million bottles of wine are produced every year in New York State. Yeah, there you go. We have the home of baseball in Cooperstown, the Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum, where the boys of summer played and birthed an American pastime. I come from the Hudson Valley region, which is right above New York City, about an hour and a half above New York City on the mighty Hudson River. And when I used to give tours in New York City, people would say, like, upstate, is there anywhere good to eat up there? They would always say it that way. Is there anywhere good to eat up there? And I'd say, yeah, we have this little cafe called the Culinary Institute of America. I've got some decent food. We have this little waterfall at the corner of the state that you might have heard of, Niagara Falls. But this is where I'm actually from. This is a picture taken not that long ago, right down the road from my house. I live in a county the size of Rhode Island with 40,000 residents. So we have more cows than people. We have 9 U's in the word rural. We are rural. That's where I hail from. And so what an incredible industry that has been built around this idea of telling these stories. These are the stories that we tell, because what we have realized is that people don't understand what traveling to New York is actually going to give them as an experience. They don't understand. And it's birthed a whole career for me of telling people what they don't understand. That was a skill I had to learn, promoting New York State. And really, there's a large percentage of the population that doesn't understand what a trip to Gettysburg in Adams County is going to deliver to them. And so there is a team that works on that problem. We call that, or that opportunity, we call that the destination marketing industry. And I've been proud to be all over this industry. I run a brand called New York's Best Experiences. And I have sat on the Destinations International Advocacy Committee, et cetera, et cetera. I've been all over the industry. But most people say, what in the world is a Sherpa? Like, how did you get to be the New York Sherpa? Well, you have to be born a Sherpa. So my parents fed me IPAs through a bottle, which is how I got an early start on my beard. And, but really, that's a terrifying photo. I'm sorry. But the Sherpa are the natives of Nepal. They are the ones that help you climb Mount Everest. And it's not just that they are skilled in carrying your stuff. They are absolutely the consummate tourism hosts. Some of the greatest in the world, and their fame spread across the world because of that hosting nature. And I have wanted to embody that spirit of helping you all gain a different elevation in either your tourism marketing or your day-to-day, and that has led to a very robust speaking career. Because really, you are some of the most important people in the future of this county. And I mean that, and I'm going to kind of back that up as to why I say that. But the success of this county, the success of the greater Gettysburg area, is going to be dependent on how well we manage and market and steward the visitor economy into the future. And that's a long sentence, but I'm really going to try to back that up. And I have this unique window into the country because of how much I've been able to travel. But this is what I'm really working on right now as I travel the country, is I am deeply involved in building destination stewardship planning for destinations. Destination stewardship. And what does that really mean? It means that we are having to manage through a moment and a shift that has changed the game from just a destination marketing office, kind of in the 70s and 80s and 90s, we called it a destination marketing office. And then we realized, the game is changing a little bit, and we started calling it a destination marketing and management office. The game has continued to change. Now we're using this term more and more, a destination stewardship organization. What does that mean? How did we get here? There have been at least 3 major generational shifts that got us to this place. And I want to kind of walk you through them for why this is so intimately connected to the success of your communities moving forward. Growing up, there was this mantra that was kind of preached. And maybe this will sound familiar to many of you in the room, but growing up, there was this, do as well as you can in high school and go as far as you can in college, and then get into a company and put your head down and work and work and work and work and build yourself into a company and build a retirement and build some benefits and get that vacation time. And certainly during that vacation time, you're going to take that 1 or 2 weeks of vacation during the year. And we did. The tourism industry was largely built around 2 buckets, which was kind of your family trip and your retiree travel. Because that's really where travel was pinned for most of us growing up. When you retire, when you have done your time in that company and you retire, you can go see the world. And it was always talked about that was your moment of freedom, that was your moment of escape, that was your chance to travel the world. And I was enchanted in that idea of traveling the world. But I was thinking, I have this whole career that I have to go through, and I have to walk through this, this American dream process. I have to buy a house, I have to buy 2 cars. I have to have 2.3 kids. I literally have 2.3 kids right now. I have a 13-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 2.5-year-old. We've already talked about him. But that was really a mantra that was preached. And I'm a millennial. And I know I'm a millennial because I took a Facebook survey. It said I'm a millennial. And it changed in our generation. I still remember exactly where I was on that day in September when the world stopped turning. September 11th completely changed the mindset of the millennial in a few ways. People will look at the fear and the terror and the war and the world going upside down as the reason, but it's a little deeper. Because yes, this idea of something that you had wanted to go see or visit, or the world not being the same, came into our mind. It changed the mindset. Fear and terror and war were new concepts to that generation. But previous generations had gone through that. There was something that we noticed as millennials, is that during the recession and the economic pain that followed 9/11, we watched people fall to the bottom of balance sheets. We watched companies laying people off because of an economic difficulty or struggle. We saw mom, dad, aunt, uncle, all of a sudden losing that position, losing that retirement, losing that stability. We saw the housing market take a hit. We saw maybe paying those 2 cars car loan take a hit. But everybody said to us, it's okay. It's okay. It all goes back. It all goes back to normal. This was your generational moment. And so we said, okay. And so we headed into college and we started down that journey. But then, if you remember, 7 years later, the entire world fell apart again, but 10 times worse. And there was a key thing during the Great Recession that maybe you noticed. Houses went underwater. Entire retirement accounts vaporized. Remember that, when entire retirement accounts were gone? And this whole idea, again, of the employee falling to the bottom of a balance sheet and just being let go as if they were a number or a commodity, stuck in a generation's mind. And that generation said, I'm not going to build into the normal way that has been taught. I'm going to pause. I'm going to step back. And I'm going to go see the world now. I'm going to wait to get into a company. I'm going to wait to get a house. I'm going to wait to invest in big items. I'm going to go see the world now. And that sparked traveling at the 18 to 28-year-old age level at a rate we had never seen. Kids from 18 to 28 didn't travel 3, 4, 5 times a year. It didn't happen. And now this generation is going everywhere. 4 to 5 times a year, the millennials are traveling. That was insane. And they were taking smaller trips and more off the beaten path type of trips. And so this was a generational shift of not that 1-week family vacation or waiting for the retirement to see the world, but traveling now. And so this is that first shift, because now it begins to impact Gen X, it begins to impact the younger baby boomers, and then the centennials just thought this was normal. You know what the number one question a centennial has in a job interview right now? How much vacation time do I get? It's the number one question. So that idea of more frequent travel becomes normal. But shift number 2 starts in the idea of where they went. Because the tourism trap wasn't what they sought. They went off the beaten path. They went to hiking trails and biking trails and wide open spaces, and they camped in places in the wild and in the wilderness. They looked for craft beer and craft beverages and craft everything. They were chasing these local stories and authenticity. This is like a little peek into this generation, right? This looks about like the current generation, right? Heads down on the phone. Don't you miss the old days? When you could smoke on a train. These people saw a different product. They saw a different way of life. In fact, I think some people have kind of figured out that they were actually chasing one particular food. It's like the food of the gods, the ambrosia for the young millennial. It's avocado toast. And they paid $14 for it if they found it. But what was beginning to happen is we were realizing that this younger generation is the most finite resource of the future. When you hear on the news or anywhere in the zeitgeist of this element is finite or this element is finite, mark my words, the most finite resource of the future is young people. Yeah. And where they're going to stay, where they're going to live, what they're going to do, where they're going to invest, where they're going to put down roots. There's a phrase that is said a lot, young people are our future. Everybody goes, yeah. And I've always said, like, what else would the future be but young people? But you get the spirit of what they're trying to say there. So the second generational shift is that they sought more local, more authentic, more off the beaten path, which started to put every destination, every zip code in the world into the market of tourism. You didn't have to be Orlando or Paris now to attract visitors. Every single zip code had a chance to attract visitors. The third shift is where we start to get into why destination stewardship is so important. Because the third shift looks like this. If you ask somebody who's a baby boomer, why do you live where you live? They are probably going to tell you that they grew up here or they moved for work. People chased smokestacks. That's how we moved. But now, for the first time, overwhelmingly, young people are moving to where they like the vibe first. And then they're finding what they're going to do for work. That's a really big change. Because it means that now we have to show off our destination in a way to attract all of these people who are now trying to see every zip code they possibly can before they do make some of these large purchases, before they do start to set down roots. But if they come to a place and they say, I kind of like the vibe here, I might just move here, they might just pack everything in the car and move here before they know where they're going to live and before they know what they're going to do for work, because they like the vibe of the place. It's what we call quality of place. Quality of place is now the driver of how young people think about a destination. So if you don't have a destination that a young person wants to visit, you don't have a destination that a young person wants to live in. That's the challenge. Vice versa is the opportunity. Once you have built a place that's interesting to visit, you are by nature building a place that people want to live. So the game has changed, and we've had to change in the tourism industry. About 10 years ago, at a little small gathering of the Destinations International Advocacy Committee in Philadelphia, we started to have a different conversation about who is our customer then? Because in destination marketing organizations, we've always been known as the tourism people. We've become the Leslie Knope of the community. It's tourism season. It's only the best day of the year. The tourists are about to get here. And our residents are saying, you know, Ron Swanson wants bourbon and bacon and to be left alone. I kind of am growing into that age bracket. So we run to Ron Swanson and we say, can we show you how much visitors save you on your taxes? And Ron Swanson says, I still don't care. But if you follow the arc of this show, which I love Parks and Rec, if you follow the arc of that show, what you have is two very different people who start to discover that their values are the same. They have the same values. They have the same desired output. They had a different way that they looked at the world. And that is what we had to start realizing, is that when people weren't sure if they liked tourists, that's a human condition of not being sure if an outsider is safe. And sure, there's a few days a year that we've got that traffic, right? But this is what the tourism industry is delivering to a place. Pride of place, employment, youth employment and training, small business success, tax savings, beautification. When we started to build this list and say that the output of well-managed tourism is this, then our customer is not the visitor. Your customers are the visitor. But in destination marketing, our stakeholder, our customer is the resident. It is for the benefit of the resident that we attract and market and manage tourism. Because if you were to just take tourism away, which we had over 100 destinations in New York State during the pandemic, where tourism just disappeared overnight, it was catastrophic. It wasn't just about business success. It went straight to whether somebody still wanted to live there, whether they could live there, whether their kids were going to stay there. And then something happened toward the end of the pandemic where the trend of running to urban centers reversed. And we realized that rural America had its greatest moment, I think, since 1946, which is post-World War II, when this explosive growth started to happen in America and everyone was deciding where they wanted to live and what place would be home to them and their business and their entrepreneurial endeavors and their family and their roots. We came back to that moment of saying young people are now deciding where they want to put down roots, and every zip code is eligible. But rural destinations have a little bit of a head start. And isn't that good news? So in this resident first thinking, if the resident is our stakeholder, what do we want them to know? I'm going to go through quickly, I promise to go quickly, through 4 things that we need to get better at telling this story. Because you are not only an economic engine for this county, you are a quality of place engine for this county, which is producing far more things than just your economic impact. And if we're going to win in the future, we need a well-funded destination marketing apparatus. And that apparatus will grow into management and grow into stewardship. But I'm watching all across the country destinations having their organization that takes up this industry's cause attacked. So that means that they potentially will become less competitive in the future. That's a problem. So the first thing we want to talk about is that visitors spark a cycle of investment. What does that mean? Go back to Detroit, 1896. Detroit, 1896 is the first, we used to call them Convention and Visitors Bureau. Has anyone heard that term? That term actually started in Detroit in 1896 when they had a burgeoning automobile industry and they needed investors. Over 10,000 companies were about to explode onto the scene as the automobile industry. But all the money was on this little island on the East Coast called Manhattan, Wall Street. And at that time, we needed to figure out a way to get people from Manhattan to Detroit. So they came up with this idea. If we create a convention and visitors bureau and just start inviting people and selling the idea of bringing groups here, they're going to come for another reason, and then they're just going to look around and say, hey, something's happening in Detroit. I might want to invest here. And it worked famously. It worked so famously, it sparked an entire industry called the destination management marketing industry. This principle scales at any level. Remember that 6 million acre Adirondack Park I told you about? Right at the top of it, there's an experience called Wild Walk. And this was a little non-for-profit that had 75,000 visitors a year. And they got an economic development grant to build a giant deck. And they hate it when I call it a giant deck, because it's called Wild Walk. And it's a fully accessible platform that goes from the forest floor all the way over the trees. And you can go up in a bear's cave, and you can walk swinging bridges, and you can jumping in a spider's nest that is 60 feet above the ground, and you can stand up in an eagle's nest and get a pictures taken. In that eagle's nest, you are now above the tree line. It's pretty incredible. They went from 75,000 visitors a year to 75,000 visitors a month with one tourism apparatus, with one attraction built with economic development funds. And I asked one of the locals, and I said, how are you managing going from 75,000 visitors a year to 75,000 visitors a month? And he said the key thing. He said, we're ecstatic because the kids are coming home from college. Because it's not just that this place had to staff up, the inns and the restaurants and the short-term rentals, and now you have real estate agents and insurance agents and people delivering propane and people delivering food, and now you got people running around helping people with their marketing. It birthed a whole new generation of business investment, and the young kids came home from college. So they spark investment. The visitors spark a cycle of investment that goes far beyond just the people who collect the dollars. Destinations International even has a long, boring report that I read for you, so you don't have to. But when a visitor spends $1 here on lodging, almost 50 cents of that goes into someone's payroll, and that multiplies over and over again into those effects that we know the tourism industry has. We call this economic development, but economic development is its own industry, so we have to define it a little cleaner. We are the second lane of economic development. Let me explain what that means. Just post-World War II, with this explosive growth happening, most every county in the country realized they needed an office that could win these businesses. We called it work. If they could win work, it brought live. If you brought companies, it brought residents. So those that won business, work, won live. And guess what live does? People create communities. Downtowns spring up, non-for-profits spring up, attractions spring up. Somebody starts preserving parkland, and now you have parks. So they called this the work, live, play model. In fact, a lot of economic development departments put it on their poster in some variation of those words. When you brought a company, you brought people, and people built community. But what did we start with? The generational shift that actually the younger demographics are delaying those purchases, and they're playing, or what we call visiting first. So visitors come to a place, and some of them say, I could see myself living here. I don't know what you're putting in all these stacked fences, but they mesmerize me. There's a different color of sun at dawn in Gettysburg. I could see myself living here. And I'm a baker, or a lawyer, or an entrepreneur, or I just work from home. And now I can choose to visit and decide to live and then bring my skills of work here. So it's a second lane of economic development that delivers the same goals that your economic development and your industrial development organizations are working very hard to bring. So this is kind of what we look at as the map of the local scene of industrial development, economic development, and destination marketing and management are after the same goal. Sure. Yeah. The slides are going to be famous. I love that, bro. I've been called bro. Sorry. It's okay, you're ahead of me. I have bro later in my presentation. Quality of place, work from home, heads and beds. We've talked about heads and beds. Many of you generate heads and beds, but you're also generating another set of heads and beds, which is residence, resident enjoyment. Because now a young person has a place to find avocado toast. The visitor is helping pay for that place. The visitor is helping pay for the place that serves espresso. The visitor is helping pay for the place that serves cocktails and has music after 9 p.m. That's the kind of quality of place that I want to live around. The third thing that we need people to remember, because number one, visitors spark investment in every sector of a destination. Number two, we're a unique lane of economic development. Number three is What the destination marketing organization does is a particular set of skills. As my good friend Liam Neeson says, I have a very particular set of skills. Do you though? Your kids have been kidnapped 3 times, buddy. Like, at some point the kids have to be like, Dad, is this a hobby? They're making Taken 4 right now. I don't know if anyone has told his kids. A lot of people think that our industry just produces a travel guide and a website. And how do we tell the story of someone who has to champion the brand, to keep it top of mind, to keep the demand generators going, to sell the destination? The funding in Orlando was just attacked. And they went to the legislatures and said, what year do you think we're selling the conference or the convention center at? And they said, 2027. And they said, try 2038 is what we're selling right now in the convention center. That's a particular set of skills that our industry is not also always known for. And the number one skill is to keep our brand in the marketplace. Because Virginia is for others. What happens in Vegas? So change this. It actually ends up on Facebook. God knows. Can you imagine Vegas before cell phones and social media? So, number 4 is that we need an organization that can steward our destination. And guess what? We have an organization in virtually every destination in America that is perfectly positioned to become a destination stewardship organization. And here's what that means. Destination stewardship is this idea of a triple win. It is that you do something that is first a win for the resident, because where people love to live are the best places to visit. So you first have to think, what can we do that is good for the resident? And then second, you do something that is good for the brand. And then third, you do something that is good for the visitor. And remember, they are the ones who spark the whole economic cycle. So they're very important. But if you look at this mindset, and I work with destinations to kind of set this table of what is a resident win that is also a brand win, that is also a visitor win. And sometimes it looks like solving problems. In the Blue Ridge, Georgia's Blue Ridge, Fannin County Convention and Visitors Bureau, they actually were an early innovator in this, and they lifted up a campaign called Loving Local, which was a listening tool, which your organization is already ahead of with this resident sentiment survey idea of listening early, getting ahead of where there might be rub points. And in this listening local, they realized that the destination was actually having a crisis. They were losing their fireflies. You see, in that area of the Blue Ridge, fireflies are famous. And they're famous for the residents, and they're loved by the residents, and they're famous for the brand, and they're famous to the visitor, and they're loved by the visitor. And the firefly population was in crisis. So this organization was uniquely positioned to step up. They have some staff, they have some funding, they know everybody, they start to connect people, and they gather the conversation as to why are the fireflies fading away. And what they discovered is that fireflies blinking is a mating ritual. And so you get these fireflies, and they're buzzing around, and they're what I call firefly bros. I had it in here. And they see a porch light, and they're like, whoa! And they start heading for the porch light. Gone. You know, in beach communities, they have the porch light off campaigns when the little sea turtles are hatching. You ever seen this? When the sea turtles are hatching, they'll see the moon, and they'll go toward the moon, and that'll get them into the ocean. But if you leave your porch light on, the little baby turtle might go in the wrong direction. The same thing was happening to fireflies. So they created this Lights Off Fireflies On campaign, because there's so many more short-term rentals in the woods, people have turned their second home into their first home, and the porch lights were just on more often. So they built messaging and social media and postcards and got them in the Airbnbs and got them in the short-term rentals and got them all over the community. It's truly resident, brand, visitor work. And the firefly population starts to come back. Who else was going to do that work? The brilliant thing about what they did is they created an event at the end of each year to celebrate the work, very similar to this, to celebrate the work of the Destination organization. But for this particular campaign, they invited a lot of the local elected leaders and community movers and shakers out into a field in this farm-to-table dinner, and they told them the story of why destination marketing and management organizations play such a key role, and what they uniquely saw as a brand win, a visitor win, and as a resident win. And then just as the dinner was wrapping up, it was dusk, and the fireflies came out, which was a brilliant way of telling the story. And so I kind of want to close here with a story about Ireland. Because this is what is so funny to me as I travel around the country and I have an opportunity to kind of share this perspective of the future that you are forging. By making a place that people want to visit, you are making a place that young people want to live. And we have to win our share of that finite resource. And so if we win just a little more than our fair share of the visitor, we're going to win just a little more than our fair share of young residents. And that gives us a future that we can really plan on and be successful with. But Ireland is not a place. Ireland is a bartender at Playground in Nashville. So I went to speak at the Tennessee Tourism Conference, and when I went to Playground, which is like an adult's Chuck E. Cheese, has anybody been here? They have themed drinks and they have giant light boards, and you can drink out of a boot. You can run and jump against a Velcro wall. It's Chuck E. Cheese for an adult, and it's really, really fun. But the bartender that night was this gal, Ireland. And she said, we got chatting, and she said, what are you here for? And I said, I'm going to speak at the Tennessee Tourism Conference. And anytime you're speaking about the future, you always have to be careful that you're not drinking too much of your own Kool-Aid. Because you can just start to say these things enough that I believe them enough to say them, and then it's just a circular loop. So sometimes I lay in the hotel room bed at night staring at the ceiling and saying, is this really working? Is this really how it's going? But almost every trip now, I'm meeting someone like Ireland, because I'm sitting at the bar and I'm talking about the tourism industry, and she says, can I share something a little weird with you? I'm okay. It's not too weird. She said, I'm from Wisconsin, and I came to Nashville on a destination birthday party. And as soon as I landed here, there was something about this place I just loved. I just loved the vibe here. And so I went home and I put all my stuff in the car, and much to my mother's horror, I drove to Nashville without a place to live or a job. And I said, that's where I'm going to live and go to school. And she said, and I'm in school right now to become a social worker, and I love bartending so much it's almost not a job. But I know that when I graduate and I become a social worker here, I'm probably not going to make what I want to make. So I'm going to keep bartending on the weekend because this doesn't even feel like work. By visiting and feeling the vibe of a place that matched who she was and what she loved, they got a social worker and a frontline worker and a college student off of one destination birthday party. So clearly you're going to need to get a bus with the karaoke machine and start. No, I'm kidding. Don't start the Bachelorette game. Don't start at Gettysburg. Don't start at Gettysburg. I'm happy to send you this presentation. This is my LinkedIn. If we're not connected on LinkedIn, just send me an invite and shoot me the comment Fireflies. If you'd like this presentation as a roadmap to some of this work, I'm happy to send it to you, and you can obviously follow me on some of my travels. But the thing I want to leave you with is that in our town, what happens is, and I had this conversation with my neighbor, and I said, "Where are you headed this year?" And they said, "Oh, I'm going over to Scotland. And I'm not going to the big destinations. I'm going off the beaten path to the small little towns where I can go to a little pub that has 6 or 8 bar stools, and I can sit next to a local and just listen and hear from them." I go, "Oh, isn't that magical?" You know, tourism season's almost upon us in the Catskills. He goes, "Ah, I hate tourists." We have to recognize that the visitor economy has become the lead economy in most of the country. And it's at least the linchpin in most destinations of how we're going to succeed. And so we have to speak well of it and understand it and start to spread this message. And even when that short-term rental next door or that traffic during a holiday weekend hits our town and our little corner of the world, we have to remember that we have to turn our porch lights off because we need more of them. Thank you for having me, Gettysburg.
All right, thank you very much, Josiah. That was amazing. And Carl, maybe next year's event we can do in the orchards or something with, I'm just saying, it'd be kind of cool. So yes, thank you for that awesome presentation, Josiah. Engaging and inspirational presentation on the power of tourism to help build vibrant communities. Tourism, economic development, and thriving communities truly go hand in hand. The team at Destination Gettysburg and the board of directors share your vision. Okay, now for some fun stuff. Every year, Destination Gettysburg bestows a distinguished tourism honor, the Jim Getty Spirit of Gettysburg Award, to an individual in Adams County and the Adams County tourism industry who exemplifies leadership, dedication, and significant contributions to the industry. The award is in honor of well-known Abraham Lincoln presenter Jim Getty, who passed away in 2015. Before I announce this year's winner, I would like to take a moment to recognize past Jim Getty Award recipients. Jackie White, 2016. Terry Fox, 2017. Nancy Gumestead, 2018. Paul Witt, 2019. Rick Beamer, 2022. Randy File, 2023. I snuck in 2024. And Wendy Allen in 2025. And I'd also like to remember Andy Larson, the 2020 Jim Getty Award winner who passed away in 2023. Tonight's honoree made significant contributions to the local tourism industry. The work he did over multiple decades helped lay the foundation for the success that the local tourism industry and Destination Gettysburg continue to have today. This is a person who does not seek attention, so we are proud to recognize him with this award. Let's roll the video.
The idea of the Jim Getty Award is to emphasize the history of Gettysburg and that it's a welcoming place for people to come to learn about, especially this year, to learn about their country, their history.
I was, one of the fortunate people who knew Jim Getty, and he did a lot of work at the Dobbin House with us and shared a lot of jokes. And, he did a lot of things pro bono for Gettysburg, to advertise Gettysburg, and because this was Jim's home, and he loved it.
The man was amazing. He knew so much about Lincoln. It was more than just giving the Gettysburg Address.
I think that in my mind, the two are synonymous. You know, that Jim was a great ambassador for Gettysburg, and I think Philip's a great ambassador.
It's very gratifying to honor Philip McGaldy as the 2026 Jim Getty Spirit of Gettysburg Award winner. He really helped lay the foundation for the organization that Destination Gettysburg has become, and for how we promote tourism here. Through his energy and creativity, Philip accomplished a great deal with very limited resources. Everyone who works in tourism in Gettysburg today really benefits from the work that Philip did. So congratulations, Philip. We're proud to honor you with the award this year.
I never quite realized all the different marketing that people were doing, and realized, gosh, by the time people come to Gettysburg, we need to get down on our hands and knees and say, you chose the United States, you chose Pennsylvania, you chose Gettysburg, and you chose our particular business. And that was something that Philip helped me to understand through all of that.
Well, he came into the World Travel Council at a time when there was like no money, no budget. Philip is very economical with his personal finances, and he was the same way with the Travel Council finances also. He
could take, a couple $100,000 budget and do so many things with it. I think that whenever I, at the time, in the early years, witnessed some of the waste that went on in neighboring destination organizations. And I always said that Philip spent this organization's money like it was his own, and for that reason, we got a lot of bang for our buck. And for that, I wish people knew that.
He likes to travel a lot. He travels a lot of different places. And he meets all these people, from foreign countries. And then when he gets to meet them, he makes a little mental note about, and he calls these people up, hey, I'm going to be in the area, can I stop by and see you? And he did this networking all the time with all different type of people. So if anybody that met him, if they gave him his name, he might be seeing them later on.
I think one of the most flattering things for me was coming from Boston and not really knowing anybody in this area to be referred to as Mr. Gettysburg. I just thought that was wonderful.
He definitely is Mr. Gettysburg. I mean, he was in charge of, all the advertising, whether it was print or media or whatever, press releases. I joke when I went to visit him at his office at the train station, he'd have packs, stacks of papers, and I would, you'd look back there and he was kind of hidden in there. And
Gettysburg had been famous. It's internationally known, but there's no immediate reason to come to Gettysburg. It's always there. Why do you need to go? We tried to get people to come now. So we were involved with a lot of special events that probably we shouldn't have been, because we only had a staff of 4 people. I wasn't here long, and we had the 3 Mile Island crisis. And that was followed by the energy crisis, when people were lined up, and we were trying to get people to come. And in fact, we got Jim Getty involved, and he stooped to the level of being out at a gas station with a pump in his hand, and we were advertising that Gettysburg was 1 tank away from all these places nearby.
I think that whenever you do a travel show and you see all the choices people have for where they can spend their advertising dollars, that to convincing them that Gettysburg is the place where they want to do their vacation, I think Philip was very good at that.
That's a hard question. I don't know if I can answer that. I helped put Gettysburg on the map. I mean, it was already famous, but for tourism, it needed to be put on the map a little bit. And I think I helped do that, but I had a lot of people helping me to do it. Never promise anything that you can't deliver. And try to be a good person, that's all.
Congratulations, Philip, on being named the 2026 Jim Getty Spirit of Gettysburg Award winner. And thank you for everything you've done for the destination and for Adams County.
Thank you.
Okay, so the secret's out. I'm New England frugal. Thank you. I must share this award with Peggy. She put up with my crazy travel schedule for years, volunteered at travel shows, helped pick up trash after the Travel Council Civil War reenactments, helped with Gettysburg Civil War Heritage Days for over 20 years, and the list goes on and on and on and on. Thank you. I thank all the Travel Council and Gettysburg Convention and Visitors Bureau members who supported me for over 27 years. I would like to thank Carl Peterzak for being so gracious. And he throws a good party. A big thank you to Paul Witt, the first person to offer his hand in friendship. When I was hired in 1978, I didn't know anyone in the travel industry. And we're still great friends almost 50 years later. Special thanks to Rick Beamer, a very good friend, and the best person to travel with to travel industry shows and marketplaces. We could probably write a book. I would also like to take a minute to remember my original team when we were down at the Lincoln train station. Somehow we managed to do a lot with limited resources. Vicki Foth, she worked the information desk. She helped with endless Gettysburg information mailings, attended travel shows, and helped train our summer help. And I will segue to say that 2 of our summer helpers, information clerks, are here tonight. I didn't know that, but in the old days, it was Stephanie Lauer and Peggy Scherer. Sally Herzog mostly worked the community information desk at the National Park Service in season, and then she did all the other stuff that I mentioned about with Vicki. She helped in the winter downtown at the train station. And then there was Emma Blocker. Dear Emma, her title was secretary and bookkeeper, but she was much more than that. She was the heart of the Travel Council. A lot of my success must be credited to Emma and her Adams County insights. This small crew was the first face of Gettysburg for visitors that were visiting us. They were welcoming, they were very knowledgeable, they were wonderful, and they represented the spirit of Gettysburg. They are no longer with us, but they should be remembered. Thank you to Jim Getty for all he did for Gettysburg. He was a Pennsylvania treasure, and he lives on through this award. I am truly honored. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Always hire somebody who knows how to run the AV. Yeah, thank you. Philip, congratulations. You're a very deserving winner of this award, and we're proud to have you join this prestigious list of honorees. You've done so much for tourism in Gettysburg, and you've never sought out the spotlight, so we're happy to recognize you. Thank you for everything you've done, and thank you for being a friend. And thank all of you for being with us tonight. We're very excited about 2026 and the future of tourism in Adams County. Working together with dedicated partners like you and stakeholders, I know the tourism industry will continue to thrive long into the future. I also want to thank our dedicated team at Destination Gettysburg. They really are dedicated. I put dedicated in there too often. Okay. They're dedicated to their roles, helping to promote our local tourism businesses and amenities to potential visitors every day and to welcoming those guests when they arrive to experience Gettysburg. Thanks also to our board of directors for their commitment to this organization and to the success of tourism in Adams County. Will the staff and board members please stand up to be recognized? Thank you for everything that you do. And I'd also like to thank the staff of the Wyndham Hotel. They're excellent hosts and provided a great venue and meal for tonight's annual meeting. Thank you. Thank you for coming tonight. Thank you for your partnership. Good night.